Hey y'all, I'm allisonasarch from Nashville, Tennessee.
Hey, I'm Sean Fraser from the Ritzy Kids.
Hunters, this is Johnny from Railmotor.
Hey, it's Shane from Blind Season.
Hey, it's Rob Stanier, and you can check out my music on all the streaming platforms.
Check out my latest music on all the streaming sites.
Check out my debut album on all streaming platforms.
Check out our new debut album.
Check us out on Spotify and Apple Music, and you're listening to our friends, Braggy and Curly.
My favorite bands from Australia.
My two favourite podcasters,
Braggy and Curly.
Braggy and Curly.
On the
Unfiltered and Undiscovered Podcast.
Hey there, everyone, and welcome to the Unfiltered and Undiscovered Podcast, episode 101. And it is an exciting episode tonight because, firstly, I'm back after doing the Boston Marathon, but I'm really excited about the show because we have a special guest that brought his music back from in the suitcase on the way home. So I'm looking forward to speaking with our special guest. But first, let's welcome our co-hosts. We've got Braggy down there in Adelaide, and of course, we've got Rossi in Sydney. How you been, boys?
Pretty good, Tony. Pretty good. Yeah, I haven't been running very far. What about you, Braggy?
haven't run any marathons, Rossi.
Yeah, no.
So
takes a special kind of person to do that.
Oh, and
Special.
The Boston Marathon was it's tough. It really is, and it's got the reputation as being the toughest marathon out there, and I can certainly attest to that. And those hills at about the 25K mark just killed me.
Heartbreak Hill it's called, isn't it?
It certainly is. And,
I cannot fathom how you can achieve to do that. I cannot get it.
No, and I still sort of every now and again just think, why the hell am I doing this? But anyway, and as I found out, our famous Brickman from the Lego show here in Australia also ran the Boston Marathon and was part of our touring group, which was absolutely awesome. So now, I do have a little bit of news, and it's from another one of our international friends, Allisonasarch from Nashville, Tennessee. She's just released, of course, her latest single, which is a cover of Hootie and the Blowfish, Only Want to Be With You. Have you listened into it, Bragg?
I have. She does a great job with that song. That suits her perfectly. At first I thought, well, it's strange, because she's got all those other great originals. I thought it was strange she'd choose a cover, but seems to be working for her, and as usual, she's just out there working, every weekend.
And the interesting thing, I think she's targeted, like I saw on one of her Facebook or social media posts that she's going to get excited when people choose it as their wedding song, like the wedding dance song. And then I listened to the song again, and I thought, yeah, that's actually not a bad sort of a visual there, because it is such a lovely laid-back version of that song. So, also, she announced her engagement today.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, big photo of the engagement ring. So, congratulations to Allisonasarch. So,
we'll have to get her back on.
Yeah, we will, to talk about the engagement and the song. Absolutely. It's my pleasure to welcome to the show our very special guest. He's a 22-year-old songwriter from Boston, Massachusetts. Gentleman called Sam Dimitrius. How are you, Sam?
I'm wonderful. Thanks very, very much for having me.
Sam, tell us a little bit, I guess, about you and your journey to where you are today. Because I saw you, Quincy Markets. You were busking. You've got a really cool setup. Everyone's sitting around you eating, and some paying attention, some not. So, but I was sitting there, and I think I was eating Regina's pizzas. I think everyone told me that they're the world's best pizzas, so I had to have some of them.
Is that true, Sam? Are they?
That it's the best pizza?
Yeah.
Well, I will say, representing Boston, I will definitely say I will support Regina's. They're real good to me.
Yeah.
I will say, though, being Greek pizza in America is a completely different thing than Italian pizza.
Yeah.
If you want to have Greek pizza, different. It's cooked differently. The cheese is different, and that's what I grew up loving.
So is there feta on Greek pizza?
It's not feta, but it's the way, I don't know. It must be the way Greeks are really, really cheap, and they're very something about maybe the cheap way they make the pizza. I don't know what it is. It's not feta, but it's just a different, just tastes like it's on a different grill. But
Okay.
anyways,
Cool.
Regina's Pizza.
Excellent. But it was such a chilled environment there, Sam. So let us in a little bit about your journey to where you are now. What got you started?
Sure. Well, I'm 22 now. When I was in high school, so I graduated 2018. I always loved music. I always loved playing music. I started off like playing the piano when I was 7 years old, and just really loving to just play movie soundtracks. I love soundtracks for like Pirates of the Caribbean, The Dark Knight, different like storytelling movies, and like that just have like music that I would listen to it on my way in the car, right? Like that's just what I did as a kid, and I really wanted to go into film scoring. So when I was in high school, I was in like marching band. I played the piano, and
In marching band.
then I did marching, but yeah, I played. You wouldn't believe it. So I'm not a terribly big guy, but I played the biggest instrument on the field. I played the big sousaphone with the over the shoulder. It was wild. My back was, yeah, you wouldn't imagine it. But I did that through high school, and then I ended up. I played the guitar in high school because I wanted to impress one of my friends that was a girl, and I guess any other girl really. I wanted to play songs that they knew. You know, I wanted to play Ed Sheeran. I wanted to play love songs, and
Coming
so
around,
playing
going
the
around
acoustic
to the
guitar.
girlfriends with the sousaphone. I can see that's going to be awkward.
It's not as flattering. I mean, I would like I'd lift it, you know, and be like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, look how strong.
They weren't as impressed, but
It's got all the moves.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. But yeah, so I started playing the guitar, and I guess like through high school I started to learn to sing. And I never sang as a kid. I'm very self-conscious. You know, I wouldn't sing in front of my family. My siblings, you know, they're very outgoing that way. But I was very quiet. I would put a fan on in my bedroom, which was an attic, and it was a loft, so there was no door. And I would put a fan on so no one would hear me singing and trying to learn the guitar and sing these songs. It was really, really interesting. But then when I graduated and had like some heartbreak and whatnot, as you do when you're 18, 17 years old, and I wrote about it, and I wanted to be playing music that sounded like John Mayer or Ed Sheeran or some of the other people, a little bit of Vance Joy. And then I always messed around with like Logic Pro, which is where I record my music and things like that. And because I loved doing that, like for making film scoring things, like I'd make instrumental music. I had a little bit of experience going into the songwriting world on the producing side. So I really like going into COVID, the pandemic, I learned to use Logic Pro and to record my ideas, be inspired, and experiment with different sounds. And and I as I was writing songs, I just started to come about this thing, and I would go to local downtowns and busk, just acoustic, no gear, just because I wanted to be, not even that I wanted to be heard. I just didn't want to be lonely. You know, I came out of this heartbreak kind of era of my like teen years, and I was like, I just want to be with people. I just want to play my music. And it kind of took the place of being in love, if that makes sense.
Really, I'm fascinated to hear that you say that about how the pandemic and wanting to get out and like immersing yourself in, you know, working on your craft and honing your craft. Because around what I'm seeing around where we are in Australia as well, as there's a lot of young emerging artists, like lots and dozens and dozens of young artists who spent that period of time over the last couple of years learning and writing. And there's just this explosion of young creatives. And I think it's, I find it absolutely heartening. And like, as you mentioned, John Mayer, and like, that was one of the first things that popped into my mind when I heard your stuff. It's like John Mayer. Yeah. Soundtrack stuff.
Exactly.
Soundtrack stuff. Hans Zimmer.
He's even got.
Yes.
Yeah. But the vocal styling, all that sort of stuff. But Jeff Buckley too.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Lovely.
He Sam, you even look like John Mayer, I reckon.
Yeah.
It's funny that you say that.
Because
Because so when I was in high school, I hadn't heard John Mayer until I graduated. Like I needed to. He was an artist that I only started listening to like past being 18 years old, and that's because I just didn't hear about him. I'm not very musically cultured, so you guys would probably make fun of me later. That's wonderful. Please do. But I needed to like change my playlist up because my life was changing, and I was like, I just need to move into something new. I want to hear something new. But before I knew who John Mayer was, there was a kid in my physics class, and he sat behind me a couple of rows. And when we were passing papers back, or the teacher, he'd be like, "Hey, young John Mayer," and he'd always call me John Mayer. I didn't know who he was talking about. And then now that he's one of the people that I musically aspire to be like, I was like, oh. Thank you. I guess
you can do worse.
I hope
man.
that's a good
you
thing.
Can do worse.
Oh, mate, I think I've said it before on the show. I think John Mayer is probably the premier blues guitarist in the world at the moment. You can keep your Joe Bonamasses. I'll take John Mayer. He's so unique and soulful. You know.
Yes, he really is. He's yeah.
And he does the acoustic thing as well, which the other guys don't do. Yes, Curly.
So I'm gonna do the pause here for the first segment of the Who Am I Braggy. So when we come out, I did. I've even got a run sheet, so I'm fairly well organised tonight. So Sam, when we come out of the Who Am I, I'm going to ask you about the Boston music scene. So you might want to collect some thoughts in relation to that. So Braggy, here we are with the Who Am I.
First part?
Yep, first part.
I was born on December 31st, 1948 in Boston, Massachusetts, and was third of 7 children. I was raised in the Boston neighborhood of Mission Hill. Do you know where that is? Is that close, Sam? Not listening. My father was that's all right. My father was a butcher. My mother was a school teacher. My performance debut occurred at church when I was 10 years old, replacing a vocalist who failed to appear. I attended Boston's Jeremiah E. Burke High School, where I performed in school musicals and was considered popular. In 1967, just weeks before graduation, and much to my parents' aghast, I left for New York City, where I joined the blues rock band Crow.
Oh.
After a record label passed on signing the group because they were only interested in the band's lead singer, the group agreed to dissolve. I stayed in New York and auditioned for a role in the counterculture musical Hair. Landed the part of Sheila and agreed to take the role in the Munich production of the show. I moved there in 1968 after getting my parents' reluctant approval. I eventually became fluent in German, singing various songs in that language, and participated in the German versions of Godspell and Showboat. Any idea?
I've got no idea, as you would probably. And Rossi,
my whole goal here, Sam, is to try and trump Rossi because
no, you got me so far, man. Right. Absolutely got me. It's great. I like this.
Okay, good.
So one of the things, and I guess one of the things that surprised me when I got back from Boston, I was talking to Braggy. I said, what other music artists come out of Boston? He said, there's hundreds. And, you do a little bit of research and you look at some of the bands like the Pixies, Boston themselves, the Cars are in there. They've all got Boston roots. So tell me about, Sam, the Boston scene that's there today and what little spot do you hold within that at the moment?
Yeah, it's a great point. A lot of artists, especially with Berkeley being a big school for music, a lot of artists are, filter through there and will live in the city and kind of make that their stomping ground. One of a newer artists right now that kind of came out of Boston is Lizzie McAlpine. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with her.
Yeah. I heard her.
She fantastic writer and fantastic vocalist. And I remember when I believe, I don't want to say this wrong, I believe she was a Berkeley student and I made some connections there. And Boston is great because for me, in the place that I am in my creating, in my learning, in my writing, in everything, I have a great spot. I'm a street performer at heart. Like I love to be out on the street. I love to be able to just set up and go. I'm not much of a restaurant player, although I do play lots of restaurants as a gigging thing. I'm not really haven't done a lot of like underground shows, but setting up my case and playing is really where like I feel like I'm at home. So for me, Boston's great because I get to run into so many different tourists. The locals are different every day in certain places, and like Faneuil Hall and Quincy Market, like being part of their busking program and being able to be there multiple days a week as like part of like my job is fantastic because, you know, like I said, tourists are coming in, people are waiting, people get off their plane and then we'll go and get lunch there and wait with their luggage. And then you internationally, I get to share your music. And it's been really great for me to begin to grow an audience. And I really like, Curly, how you were saying earlier, like, you know, some people are listening, some people aren't. And it's like, that's how I want it. I want people, if people are listening to my music, wonderful. And if they're not, that's cool. Like, I don't want to build a fan off of somebody who really isn't looking at what I'm doing. It's like, that's wonderful. Music is subjective, but the people who are listening, like, those are the people who are going to go back and listen again. Like people who would take a picture of my case with my music in it. So it's been great. I've been beginning to build a bit of a following, and I love the city. It's kind of nostalgic. You know, you look at the buildings, you're going in. I usually take the subway, or I'll drive into the city to get set up. I actually don't live right in the city. I live about 30 minutes north. But yeah, as a music scene, great connections. I've already met some people that are writing music, and you run into people that you didn't even realize were also in the music industry. It's educated me to the depth of the music industry and how it functions in a commercial level and also at an independent level. Which is really interesting. I've been learning a lot, and it's daunting but wonderful at the same time. So, yeah, I love Boston. Boston's where I want to be, but
mate, Boston. I mean, to me, I've never been there. But it seems to be a little bit like Melbourne, as far as it's kind of a little bit. The weather's a little bit bleak. I'm assuming there is it. A little bit cold and a little bit rainy like Melbourne is, but Melbourne and I'm assuming Boston is the same. It's just such a great supporter of the arts as a city.
yes,
You know, everywhere you go, there's art, not just music, but all forms. You know,
It's got a pretty multicultural sort of sense too, hasn't it?
yeah, it's very diverse. And like you said, like the arts, like, you know, they have the School of Music, but they have so many different, like there's so many street performers. Like that's part of their culture. Like they love their street performers. They've made it so easy for people to be able to street perform.
Cool. That is cool.
that's
Yeah,
great.
it's
And
great.
it also it's probably stereotypical, but when I think of Boston, I also think of like the Irish, you know, impact there. And I
Conan
noticed a
O'Brien.
little bit. Oh no, just and the music too. I mean, I'm imagining some of those Irish pubs that there must be there with, and your music being folk. I sense a little bit of that traditional Irish, you know, kind of feel to some of your guitar style there as well, in your stuff for that you know, traditional Irish folk stuff that everybody gets around and sings in the pub. You know.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah,
No worries.
it's,
And
there's
also the
something
other
beautiful about that.
stereotype thing is obviously the Boston Tea Party, and it's the first American we've had on that's drinking tea, which is fantastic.
Yes,
I'm honored to be the first one.
and of course, Braggy, Boston's also known for the Celtics and
Oh,
the Bruins.
I love the
and
Celtics.
Bruins, yeah.
Fenway Park, and
Yeah.
one of the great joys I had when we were there was we did a tour of TD Gardens, and that was pretty spectacular in the old sporting museum that they've got there. And we went to see the Red Sox play at Fenway Park.
Wow.
And
Wow.
it's just such a traditional, old, uncomfortable stadium to watch, but a fantastic atmosphere. I'm just glad I'm not a season ticket holder at Fenway. I think the old steel and wooden seats would get to me after a while, but fantastic experience. So
Was that before or after the run?
that was after.
Ooh,
Definitely
yeah.
after.
A little bit stiff.
So Sam, tell us about when you started recording and what was some of the and when you uploaded them into the streaming platforms, which is all the way to go. What got you started doing that?
So starting recording, definitely like using GarageBand on an iPad, like as a kid, and just like loving to play the piano on it and record parts. And then I got a MacBook computer when I was in high school because I was going to community college, which I did end up doing. But my parents were like, "Hey, we have a computer. Like you can use it to be creative," and that was lovely. So started to navigate using Logic Pro, which is the recording DAW. And I would record acoustic guitar and use piano and start to do those things and just layer parts. And then it took me like watching lots of I'm inspired a lot production wise originally by people like Phineas, who is, produces for Billie Eilish and himself and some other artists. And I'm inspired by John Mayer's songwriting, Ed Sheeran's songwriting, and some of their sounds. And I've really recently been getting into indie folk, but back to how I got into recording, just getting like this microphone here is the Audio-Technica 2035. Like, this is what I used to record. I record my guitar with this. I record my vocals with it. And I started with that, just being inspired and trying to mimic what I really like. And I figured if I mimic 5 people that I really, really like, I'll fall somewhere into my own sound.
Yeah.
So the recordings,
it's a fantastic. Yeah. You go, Rossi.
The recordings your own work, all your own work, or have you done them elsewhere? No, that's all all home done. Recorded. That's fantastic, man. Yeah. That's the way of the future. It is. It's the way it works.
I was just going to touch on what you said before, Rossi, during the pandemic. It's just so good. I mean, I use Logic here as well. And I don't know what Rossi uses. You probably...
I use both Reaper and Pro Tools.
Okay, so... but I mean, it's just such a... coming, Sam, from back in the late 70s, early 80s, like I am, it's just impossible. I think the first thing I had was like a little 4-track Tascam thing where I had to freaking put a sticker on the cassette, and it was like,
oh, they were great.
It's just so good.
Bouncing tracks down to 1.
I just wonder, like Rossi talked about during the pandemic, if this technology wasn't available, how some musos would have coped and would have directed their inspiration, because it's just such a great thing to have, and now being able to, I know for all the bad things that's about Spotify, but just being able to get it out there, so we can get you on and talk about it.
Absolutely. So let's play a little bit of. I think this song came out about 2 years ago, Sam. It's a song called Cara George. Let's play a little bit of that, and just then we'll have a chat.
Later down the road, I finally have a place to call home. Trust me if you think that you'll find enough in life when you're alone. The sun is gonna set down on your paradise. My darling melody, your heart's on fire. Hold me close and warm me with your light. I know I've been away a long, long time. Pack your things and take me there tonight. Ooh. Another name to call you, and I'll be lost if I can't finally call you Cara George, Cara George. The sun is gonna set down on my paradise. My darling melody, your heart's on fire. Hold me close and warm me with your light. I know I've been away a long, long time. Pack your things and take me there tonight.
That is such a cool little spacious song.
Absolutely.
Thank you very,
My
very much.
first question, was it cold when you shot that?
I'm trying to. I think that might have been. I think I recorded that in. I think April of 2021, maybe, or whenever it released. I forget now, but it was getting warmer. I had the blanket on because it was cozy. It was, but it does get really warm in the summer, like really really hot. But I think it was right coming out of winter. It was like right when the trees were starting to change. Yeah,
I just think it's always fun when there's a performer and we're playing a clip. And I look at the performer watching their own work to see how it's really confronting sometimes to like watch other people having you watch yourself. It's like, I don't know. What do I do here? Yeah, it looked great, mate. It really looks great.
It did. It was
really shot beautifully.
Yeah, and
it was very very kind of you.
Who shot that for you? Just someone in your family, or?
I shot
Man,
it. I just
that's
stuck my
great
phone up.
work.
Yeah,
well
well
done.
done.
Well
So
done.
you've done everything.
Really good.
Thank you.
I love DIY. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very melancholy. That's how I'm going to describe your sound. It's a melancholy album, and that was going to be one of my first questions, but you've kind of already explained, about love lost, I guess. So, but that's for someone so young to write about that is,
Yeah,
melancholy and wistful. Sorry?
Yeah. Some of the lyrics in that song, Sam, my darling melody, your heart's on fire, hold me close and warm me with your light. Like that's a sophisticated lyric. That's cool.
Yeah.
So is Cara George a person or a place, or what's the story behind that song?
This is so when I was earlier in my writing, I still like to, but I love inside jokes and things that like people won't get unless they ask, just because it makes you feel personal with the song, because you put the song out and it's everyone's, or it's nobody's, but it's still yours. And so Cara George is it's actually my real last name is Karayorgos. It's Greek. It's longer than Dimitrius. And Karayorgos translated to like English is Cara George. And the idea of the song, the lyric is, and I put it into two names, so Cara and George. And I figured like the lyric is, later down the road, you're going to find another name to call your own. I'll be lost if I can't finally call you Cara George, which is like call you by my last name. It's like to be able to give you myself, to be able to be married, or to be able to share that with somebody.
Very good, man. Very good.
So
that's great. Yeah. I love. See, good question, Curly.
Thank you.
No,
that's
cool when you get the inside story.
So the layering of the vocals, is that all you, or is that someone else joining in with you?
Yeah, that's like 30 of me. I like went really overboard and like recorded my different harmonies and lines like so many different times and panned them left and right and tried to give myself some space and tried to give it a feel of like there was like a bit of a choir. So when that second chorus hits, it feels like it feels big, But
it is big.
Yeah.
It's big and spacious. Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just there's a lot to like in that song, and now that we know the inside story,
makes it even better.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's always better. It's always better when you know. When you get the story for the song.
All right, so let's play another one, shall we? That's this is. I think this came out last year. It's a song called "To Anna," and then we'll have a little bit of a chat around that one as well.
corners of her perfect eyes, staring back at me, I'm lost in time. Do you mind if I get a little closer, dear? Place your head on me so you can hear the way my beating heart, it speaks real. Sunshine, come set on me tonight. Sunshine, come set on me tonight. Oh, sunshine, lay down with me tonight and wrap me with your light. Sunshine, sometimes she's covered by the moon, but nothing stops the light from getting through. Kind of like the love I have for you. But when I see the moon, I'm reminded of my time with you. I know that I will get to see soon. In the morning when you rise, sunshine, come set on me tonight. Sunshine, come set on me tonight. Oh, sunshine.
So that's another love story, love song.
It's a breakup album,
sure.
Sam. Everyone's got to write one of those.
Yeah, you got to have both. You got to, you know.
I love the lyrics to that, especially that first couple of lines there. Try and come back behind your shoulder. That's fantastic. I want to ask. I saw a little clip of you playing. Curly showed me earlier before we came on of you playing live, and I see you got a looper there. You have a looper, and you kind of
I do. Yes.
I'm just going to ask about the rhythm because I love the way that song builds. You come in first, and then you bring in the kick drum, which I'm guessing maybe is you hitting the guitar, or have you got a stomp box? Yeah, that's what it is. And then the hi-hats come in a little bit later. I just love the way you've built that, into the song. It gives the song a little bit more passion as everything starts to come in. Really good. Very mature part of songwriting.
Thank you for saying that.
That's all right.
Yeah, I love like especially live. It adds another dynamic, and I can just be a little more expressive, just a little bit more, than just with an acoustic. But thanks for saying that. Yeah,
I noticed it jumped over to the steel string for the nylon string. But what I thought was interesting as I was listening to that was the chord voicings. You're playing some really nice, high and bright chord voicings. So the structure, the depth of your voice sits underneath it. Yeah, like the voice is warmer and rounder because the chords aren't trying to take that space away from you. It's really interesting. I thought.
Capoed up high there,
Yeah. Just like really, it'd work well with Nashville tuning as well. Just saying.
Oh,
yeah.
Thanks for noticing that.
Yeah, just saying.
Do you have any design, Sam, to front a band at all, or are you just focused on that solo artistry?
I really like being a solo artist right now. It's working well for me. I'd love to play with a band, but I still would probably go the solo artist route. At the moment, I don't know. I don't know where the Lord will lead me. I don't know where I might be in 10 years. I know I'll be doing music for the rest of my life somehow. But yeah, right now soloing is what's working for me. And it's cheap.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's so affordable. Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. We all understand that one.
Yep, and you avoid a lot of hassles, Rossi.
The
more people you get.
The emotional cost is so less.
Yes.
All right, so Braggy, part two of Who Am I? part 2.
Ooh, part 2.
Here we go.
Let's see.
Okay, as we left off, this person was singing musicals in German. While working as a model part-time while working as a part-time model and backing singer in Munich, I met producer Giorgio Moroder and Peter Bellotti during a recording session for Three Dog Night. We forged a working partnership and I was signed to their Oasis label in 1974. My first album was Lady of the Night, and it became a hit in the Netherlands, Sweden, Germany, and Belgium. In 1975, myself, Moroder, and Bellotti wrote a song together and decided it should be my first American release. We sent it to Casablanca Records, President Neil Bogart. Bogart played the song at one of his extravagant industry parties where it was so popular with the crowd, they insisted that it be played over and over each time it ended. He requested that we produce a longer version for discotheques. We returned with a 17-minute version. Bogart tweaked the title, and Casablanca signed me, releasing the single in November 1975. By 76, the song had reached number 2 on the US Hot Charts and had become a gold single, while the album had sold over 1 million copies. The song generated controversy due to my moans and groans, and some American stations refused to play it.
Ooh, okay.
Now, weren't Kiss signed to Casablanca?
I think they were, weren't they?
I think they were. I think
yeah.
There was like this great venture capitalist label, you know.
Well, I don't know. I didn't really know of that label until I did research on this.
Oh, yeah, they were very interesting label. I know a number of acts.
Have you got it, Rossi?
Yeah, I have, I think, but I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure I have.
I've got no idea, so I hope that helps. So Sam, before we talk about the final song we'll talk about, which is Clouds, you are a person of strong faith, and you know, one of the things that when I think about Christian music, I think about some of those gospel singers that I ran past in the New York Marathon back in 2018, standing there on the church stairs and just magnificent. But I also have a concept of glam rock for whatever, because there's a couple of old glam rock Christian bands from
Striper.
Yeah.
Oh, Striper. Yeah. I remember them.
So Sam, it's difficult for me to say to you that your music's Christian music, but obviously your faith is part of something that is a strong influence and fuels you. Is that what we take on board with that?
Yeah. So currently, I think my music so far, I'm in a season of soul searching throughout this whole music identity. But my personal identity, I identify as a lover of Jesus, and what he's done in my life, how he's grown me, and the people around me has really inspired my music. So if it's a love song, it has to do with what's been going on in my life. If it's a family member, I've been writing music recently about just like hurt that my friends are going through, and yeah, it's really all about him, but it's not about, I'm not trying to make religious music. I'm not trying to, that's not where I am right now. Although like I'm also a worship leader at my church. I serve in my church as a worship director at the moment. That's an administrative kind of part of like the church worship morning thing and throughout the week and stuff. And it's different than my commercial music or my indie music, but it influences, it's me, you know, that's who I am. And it does bleed in. It's where my love is, you know. Right now it's not Christian music, but
yeah. Like, I'm not religious myself, but I tell you what, the rock and roll music, any sort of music, has got a lot to thank the church for, especially in America, because some of the music that's come out of those places is just incredible. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Absolutely.
So do you sing at church, Sam, or do you play music at church? Is that part of the community that you're in?
Yeah. We our Sunday mornings usually look like a welcome, and we sing worship songs together. And I'll lead it usually. There's a band. Not every church has a big band. Some churches have a really high production, and we're in a place where we're in a humbler place, but we have great AV team and great musicians, and we will lead our church family in songs, and then we'll go into our preaching, and then usually close with a song. And I've been leading there for a couple of years now, and they've been so good to me. They've really taken care of me and led me well, and been teaching me about leadership, and which is also currently, I know that you host a leadership podcast. I think that's fantastic. So it's been great. It's a huge part of my life. It's influenced me, not just in my own personal like faith to Jesus, but like my life going into music. They've been so great to me.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So the last song we'll talk about is Clouds, and is this it's a collaboration piece, isn't it? You've created this with someone else, Kate Mescal. Share a little bit about Kate.
Yeah, Kate is a fantastic writer and creative. She's like, she opened up her laptop and she has just a billion unnamed projects of songs she'll work on. She's like, I was working on this chorus. I don't know what you think. She just is a writer. She raps. She does some like R&B. She does like some acoustic folky sounding things. And actually right now I'm producing an album for her, a short EP, about 5 songs. And she's been coming over to do some recording, and we've been working through different songs that she's had for a long time. And she's a very talented writer, very talented artist, and a really like just very cool person. Like she'll make you feel very welcomed, and she'll make you laugh a lot. But we wrote Clouds together. We met at a restaurant. So I worked at a Red Robin. I don't know if there's Red Robin in Australia, but it's a burger joint. Okay. And I worked there as a host at the host stand, and then Kate was a waitress, and we met there, and we decided we're gonna write songs. So we decided to write a song together, and that was Clouds. And
awesome,
yeah.
Cool.
Well, let's put it on and.
Planned out your escape with no one better to escape to. Now you're a ghost inside my basement. Won't find no one worth the chasing. You just can't replace me. You just can't replace me. I think I've gotta go home, out of here. Baby, how you know how my head's never clear. I've been thinking of you. I've been thinking it's true. I've gotta get away. I've gotta get away. I see we're going different places. We couldn't have that conversation, and you left way before you ever say it. You never have a destination, yeah. Always running from the same things. The change the scene don't mean you change things, yeah. You just can't replace me. You just can't replace me. I think I gotta go home.
Your voices go well together. And is that song about getting away? What are you getting away from? You getting away from the restaurant? Like from the rat race?
Run while you can. Nah. Red Robin. We love Red Robin. If Red Robin is listening, love you very much. No.
He's got the business down too.
Send burgers now.
That'd be lovely. Maybe imagine we work something out like that. Love for you to try it. So we wrote it about the idea of like wanting to, like, it's just being stuck in this idea that you won't be able to move on from someone. Like the biggest lie, or I don't want to say the biggest lie, I can't speak for everyone, but like your mind and your heart especially wants to tell you that you'll never find another person that loves you the way you feel like you're loved. You never find someone that will be able to boost your self-esteem. And there's I love talking about relationships and talking about love and stuff, but like the idea of the song is like, you can't replace me. You feel like you can. You're gonna go. You end up right back here because you know that I've treated you really well. It's really toxic. It's not what I stand for, but that's what we were writing about. It's just a raw feeling of being like stuck. You exist in the mind. It's like a ghost in my basement. I go down. I'm scared, but I know it's there. I can't escape it. I can't leave the house.
And the song the album that you're doing, producing for her, have you had a hand in writing some of those songs with her as well? Like, have you collaborated?
So at the moment, I haven't written anything with her. Although like we've been working through songs. So like she has the songs written, and I'll like help with instrumentation definitely, like as that's like where my specialty in this is, and I'll help her like all right, we should repeat a chorus or do a half a chorus here to tie it together, and like those things. But in a sense, like I'm not really writing. She's written this album, and I am going to be singing on it though in a couple places. Excellent. So it's really nice to
I thought the kick and snare sounded great on that as well.
Thanks. Thank you for noticing that. That stuff was thank you.
What I liked about that song, and once again, there's I've got a bit of a love for what I call Sunday session music, which is the solo acoustic. And I think you would do so well over here in some of our beer gardens on a summer, just quietly, Sam.
I knew beer was going to come up.
But as soon as I heard this album, I said Curly's going to put that in the Sunday session
basket. Yeah, absolutely, as usual.
But what I liked about that song, there's a refinement about it, but it's got a beat to it too. Like it's a noticeably quicker than the other two.
It skips along.
Yeah, it does. But then you've got some really what I would call intricate little guitar bits in there as well. Now, I'm certainly not a muso, so I don't even know what it is, but there's just little intricate like detail in the guitar. Braggy, have I described that okay?
Curly, you underrate yourself. You were always spot on when you describe someone's music. What you hear is exactly right. So,
we like to call them licks. We like to call them licks sometimes, don't we?
Is that what they're called? Little intricate licks. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So I would say so. Yeah, I had fun recording that one. I actually went to Kate. I said, Kate, listen, like we're gonna write our first song together. We're gonna jump into it and just see what a session would look like. And I went to her little studio, which is like a home basement studio, and just similar to me. And I brought my guitar, and I said, listen, I have this quick like 4 bars of like that kind of thing. I was just plucking away at it, and she's like, that's cool. And she starts going off on it. We recorded that in a kick and a bass and just a synth, just the pad, right? And she just pretty much said the chorus in one go, and she just went into it and she's like, this is kind of what I'm feeling, went into it. And I was like, all right, cool. So we put that in, and then we just started writing it, and we pretty much wrote it out in a couple of days. And
some of the best songs come together really quick, you know.
Are they drum samples or live drums samples?
Drum samples. Like I do play the drums. I just don't have the equipment to record it. So I use the most real sounding ones I could, and I try. If I have a little bit of like the kick, I like having a bit of tech to it because it feels punchy. It's present, but
it's warm and it's got a little bit of click in it.
Yeah, you use it in a subtle way. Your percussion, it's good. It's not overdone. It's perfect for what you do. So after you've done this one with your friend, is there what's in the future? Do you get more stuff? Are we going to hear the sousaphone on the next album?
Don't spoil it, because I try to.
I'm still seeing
Sam
carrying the piano with the marching band.
I don't, man, do wonders for your back. But the future, is yet being revealed. I've been writing and rediscovering discovering a voice for writing. I feel like I have a sound that I've been kind of tapping into in different songs. My songs are kind of different, but from each other, but have a root in acoustic folk, in acoustic independent folk, like which is different than traditional folk. But and I love that. But I also like my songwriting. I'm truly trying to discover my voice. I've produced way more songs than I've written. And I love to write, and I think I would love my writing to be at a place where it matches my ability to produce. And I want to continue like just writing just to write because I'm overthinking it. I went through a really hard fall and winter of just like, different friendship and relationship changes and different dreams that I just kind of gave up on. And like, thank God, like he's been renewing them for me. And I have a dream to just make music and, give it all in. And so for the future, I'm writing songs right now. I'm exploring different sounds. I'm exploring a new voice of writing and a meaningful one. Not just kind of because my songs in the past have been a reflection. It's like a picture. Like I listen to a song I've written. I'm like, that's a picture of where I was in that moment. And I love being nostalgic about it. And I'm starting to write. I'm trying to write in more of a meaningful way to me, where just trying to get my thoughts out more clear, trying to be more specific, trying to write more things and not get so attached to like that one song that I wrote and be like, okay, well, what I want to write more of them and just let them all start to perfect each other. Yeah. And right now I'm taking a little bit of a break from releasing. I'm performing like 3 or 4 days a week and just enjoying doing that because I love that so much. Doing a lot of praying and doing a lot of soul searching, journaling, and the songs I'm writing right now, I'm really excited to share, but we'll see what happens.
I do think your production game is very, very strong.
Thank you.
Me too.
It's a lot of fun. That's the funnest part. It's the most fun for me because I get to like, all right, now I want to make it big. I want to put in this punchy vocal line or whatever it is. And yeah, thank you for saying that.
One thing I always like to ask, I think we usually ask everybody, especially the songwriters we have on, when's your time for songwriting? Does it come anytime, or are you like a morning person, or you go for a walk and things come to you, have a shower? I don't know. So many different ways songs can come to you.
Yeah, I feel like I need to be procrastinating, or I need to like be home from the party. Like I feel like there needs to be something going on that I feel left out from. And then that kind of it's a weird. I wrote a song called "Left Out" where I feel like the world is moving on without you. It's like I missed the party I knew nothing about. Like it's this idea of like I'll almost like call out of the friend group from hey guys, like you guys will have fun. You guys go do what you're doing. I just don't really want to go. Like the introvert. Like
that's why your music sounds melancholy because you have that vibe when you're writing. I guess. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that's it. Really,
it's also a bit of a callback to our mate Blake Cateris's song, which pretty much touched on the same sort of subject matter.
Very similar,
Yeah.
And, my ideal Sunday session gig at the moment is probably Blake playing acoustically, bit of Ben Penner sitting in there, and then we've got Sam as well. So, mate, and then we'd go to a nightclub and watch Pocket Watched.
I think it'd be a front bar. For Pocket Watch, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be absolutely full on. Sam, one of the things that I've got to say is that your performance game is really strong. We know how important it is to get your name in front of people, to get them on your socials, the use of QR codes. And, Sam has the banner behind him. That's very clean, very crisp, very professional. But he's also got the individual little QR codes for things like his Spotify and his Facebook. Yeah. So perfect way to continue to build and grow your market just from what it is that you do, that you love to do.
Yeah.
Do it yourself, Rossi.
Yeah. Got it DIY. That's the way it is. Who needs labels? No one needs record labels anymore. What value do they add? Nothing.
Yeah,
they just burden you with costs and take the cream away from the work you're doing.
That's the punk attitude too. Do it yourself.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of punk in Sam Dimitrius. Okay, let's go for part 3. This is the final part of the Who Am I?
All right. I've been taking notes here, but I think I fell behind.
Do you have any ideas, Sam?
like I said, you guys are gonna make fun of me. I don't know any artist ever. I feel like completely. I got to go to the library.
So far we're still in the 70s. So poor old Sam's not gonna. It's it's ancient history for him. Okay, in 1979, I won 3 American awards for single, album, and female artist in the disco category. Curly. I performed at the Music for UNICEF concert, joining contemporaries such as ABBA, the Bee Gees, John Denver, and Rod Stewart for a TV special that raised funds and awareness for the world's children. Later in the same year, I was at the top of the charts again with the much-acclaimed album Bad Girls. Known as the Queen of Disco and famous for hit songs like Love to Love You, Baby, Enough is Enough, and Hot Stuff. My name is...
Donna Summer.
Woo!
And
Boston.
And I was so surprised that she came out of Boston.
Yeah, it was too.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. You know who else? Sorry, going back to Sam, James Taylor is from Boston as well. So there's a little bit of that.
Yes.
James Taylor there, and yeah.
So Sam, have you looked into the James Taylor guitar tuning?
I haven't. What is this guitar tuning?
Okay. Yeah, you've got standard E, A, D. Yeah. Okay. I use a guitar tuner called a Peterson Strobe tuner, which is like, so basically some of the things are like cents off, like 6 cents off the actual note. It's a sweetened tuning that James Taylor used. And if you use that, you need quite a precise tuner to pull it off. But it's a really unique James Taylor sound. And for acoustic guitars, it makes... Like it's
speak of. I'd never
microtones. It's microtones out. So like E, if A is 440, you might and this is just an example. It's not the actuality, but you tune the A to 438, and the B is to ever so slightly out. But it's what they call a sweetened James Taylor tuning. Have a look it up.
Does it give you like a
ringing
chorusy effect?
A beautiful ringing acoustic sound. Yeah, it's the James Taylor effect. Really fascinating. Okay. It's just one of those stupid things that I come across.
Fascinating. No, that's not stupid. That's fascinating. That's really
James Taylor tuning.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, Sam, it's been an absolute pleasure you joining us today. Yeah. I'm just going to go through the wind down, and really excited to see where you go next, and or in your words, where you're led to go next. So I'm really excited about that. Some of what you put out is magical. A lot of what you put out is magical, and it's so exciting to see that you're pretty much a one-man everything. You know, you've got your marketing, you've got your production, all being handled by yourself. So congratulations on everything that you've done so far. Your songs have been added to the Unfiltered and Undiscovered playlist that we have on Spotify, where we feature the artists that we've spoken to. And, of course, for everyone out there, wherever you're listening to this, whether it's YouTube or any of the podcast platforms, please leave a review, subscribe, you know the drum. We're on Facebook, we're on TikTok. Check out our website at unfilteredundiscovered.com. And, of course, we've got our 13-hour playlist now, obviously, on Spotify. So, Braggy...
You've run 3 marathons with that.
The music did me no good at Boston. I was in that much hurt and that much pain. It was just the music did me no good. So Sam, thank you once again. It's been a real pleasure. Really honoured that you got up early and had your cup of tea with us this morning.
Really good to meet you, man.
I'm very thankful. Yeah, you guys are very. Thank you very much. It's great to meet you. You guys are all very, very kind and welcoming, and I appreciate you. Appreciate you listening and pulling out like really good questions about my music. It means a lot. I really appreciate it.
Excellent.
Thank you.
No worries. In the words from the one of the bands on our playlist, this is Brisbane band Spillage. It's one of our favourite lyrics, isn't it, Braggy? It's been a while since you put your butt in my ashtray. From me and everyone here, we will see you all again next week. Next week, we've got Sean Fraser from the Ritzy Kids joining us. So stay tuned. And once again, thanks, Sam. We'll see everyone again. Bye.
missed the party I knew nothing about. I'll stay at home until I think of something else to do with all the time that I have to myself. All this time to myself, but I feel left out. I feel left out. I'll drive alone, watch the lights go down. Imagine talking to some pretty girl that I don't care about. If she was real, I'd tell her how I feel. Oh, I'd tell her how I feel. I feel left out. I feel left out. I'm feeling left out. I'm feeling left out. I watched the party, I was parked downtown. I saw you there and you were dancing. And if I was there, would you catch me in that glare? Pull me in and show me how to move around. 'Cause I feel left out. I feel left out. I feel left Somebody's giving you the love that I feel. I would give to you. I'm missing you from you. Somebody's kissing that smile. Once was mine, all was mine. Do you remember me at all? Can you hear me? Can you hear me at all?
Hey, y'all. I'm allisonasarch from Nashville, Tennessee.
Hey, I'm Sean Fraser from the Ritzy Kids.
Punters, this is Johnny from Railmotor.
Hey, it's Shane from Blind Season.
Hey, it's Rob Stanier, and you can check out my music on all the streaming platforms.
Check out my latest music on all the streaming sites.
Check out my debut album on all streaming platforms.
Check out our new debut album.
Check us out on Spotify and Apple Music, and you're listening to our friends Braggy and Curly.
My favorite bands from Australia.
My two favourite podcasters,
Braggy and Curly.
Braggy and Curly.
On the
Unfiltered and Undiscovered Podcast.